Can you guys introduce Mommy?
Spill the beans with Dr. Jill.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Spill the Beans with Dr. Jill. As always, I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves.
Hi, Dr. Jill. My name's Amanda Portelance. I am a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Connecticut, and I'm also an associate professor for funeral service at Goodwin University.
It is so exciting for you to be here and kind of really timing for me with this podcast recording because you're at the end of the series, kind of like the end of life. And so I thought I really want to position you at the end of it. And I also want to ask you, how many years total do you think that you've gone to school for your expertise?
So I actually, for funeral directing, it was a 2-year degree. So that's an associate's 2-year. But I have an undergrad and a master's. So I've been in school 8 years. I went to
Long
school.
time. So, in your commitment to this profession, did you ever take a class or hear a professor or read a book that said, this is vicarious trauma, read this and learn about this?
Never. I didn't even
Amazing.
was when we were talking about me coming on here to talk with you about end of life care in the funeral industry. I was like, let me just look it up. I don't want to dig too deep because I want to have a real conversation, but no, never.
And would I assume you did hear about self-care? Was self-care included?
So yes, just briefly
Mm-hmm.
scanned over. We in funeral service school, we talk more about the families mental health and how to help them in that aftercare piece when we're done with the services. So for us, it's really not, we talk about our view and how it looks from our end, but really no coping skill.
Mm. So the coping strategies are really for the living and almost like the counseling, right? Like, right. So now that you've been in the field for as many years as you have, and now you're teaching, right? So you're not only a practitioner yourself, and it's a family business where it's around you 24/7, and you have a commitment in your family to this profession. Now you're also teaching it in the classroom, and so you're seeing the students and the questions, and you're seeing what this generation is dealing with. What have you learned that is important for people to hear about going into this field?
So going into this field, you have to know that it's a lifestyle. So
Mhm.
it's not something that's a traditional work day, like a 9 to 5, right? So we are on call 24/7, 365. And not only is it that part, but you have to be ready when called upon.
Mhm.
We are, a lot of people refer to our field as last responders, right? We're responding to somebody's last time here. So my advice for somebody wanting to come into this field would be just when it gets hard, and it will, is just remember your why. Why am I doing this? So when the phone rings at 3 a.m. and you're responding to a house call where somebody passes in their home, and you have to speak to the family on the phone, you have to get fully dressed, you have to drive there, right? And you're taking their loved one into your care for that last time. Just remember that that is somebody's mother or sister that you are taking, and treat everyone with integrity and respect, and you will you will see some things you can't unsee, um, and that's just what makes you a better practitioner. I think
Mm.
those moments are teaching moments, and they really do, they stay with you, they don't go away.
Right.
You learn from them.
Yeah. On this series, I met with an EMT, and he was saying that he also hates that question of like, what was the worst call you ever went to? And I'm like, yeah, that's a horrible question. I don't know why we ask that on interviews. But his answer is, I don't know the worst call I've been on to yet. It hasn't happened yet because that will be the day that I decide this is no longer for me, right? And so that perseverance, that grit, he has learned how to cope because of the support system he's created and his strategies. What do you do for your self-care?
So for me, it's just really try, and I know it sounds cliche, but like leaving work at work. And when you leave work, try to do things that you truly enjoy. So if it's listening to music, if it's cooking, even the mentorship in this profession is really strong. It's
Mm,
a tight-knit community. A lot of funeral directors know each other. And my spouse is also a funeral director. So just leaning on each other
mm,
and talking through these difficult times, I think truly helps.
right. Can you be honest, do you still cry on the job? Do you still have an emotional, what do you do in that moment? What has been helpful for you?
I just feeling the emotions. I think we do talk a lot. We have a grief class that the students take, so we talk a lot about grief, right? And the stages of grief and how you have to go through them, and that it never really goes away. You live with it. So for me, I just think that feel every emotion as it comes to you, and that helps you. It
Mhm.
helps you heal. If you suppress things, it's gonna come to the surface eventually, and I think that's when the burnout starts to happen.
Do you find yourself, since being in this profession, more present with friends, family, with things about life that maybe before weren't so present?
Yes, I think that when you deal with death every day, you live life like it's your last day because we never know how much time we have here. And it really resonates when you see children or babies, right? It's just like life is so precious. Time here is short. And when you're in the thick of it every day, you're in the daily grind, or it feels like Groundhog's Day. I think a lot of funeral directors have that unique perspective where we feel maybe quite the opposite, like let's just live.
Right. Well, I know you from undergrad years. And so, like, I feel so confident that all the families that you're working with, that you treat them with dignity and that you really understand, you meet them where they are, right? And that it's a science, it's a craft, it's a calling, it is a helping profession. You're dealing with people who have died, but you're dealing with all these other individuals as well. So I just want to, as I've mentioned to other helping professions, it's like, I wouldn't want to do your job. I'm sure you wouldn't want to do mine, but I'm so grateful you're in the field and I want you to sustain in the field. What is the one thing that you would want to spill the beans, whether it's a mantra, a quote, an affirmation? What would you leave our listeners with?
The last gift.
Can you tell me more about that?
So the last gift is we are the final caretaker of somebody's loved one. So we are giving not only the decedent their send off in whatever that looks like for them, their final service. We're also giving a family a last gift. It could be in many different ways. It could be that closure that they needed. Maybe their loved one passed tragically and they didn't get to see them. And our last gift is to them that they visually see them and they're able to sit with that. Or that we're able to be, that shoulder that they're crying on. So, and it could come months later, right? That they're realizing, like, thank you for what you did, or you helped me, and we don't even know it. We're doing what we do, and that's helping people. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a gift to talk to you today. And I always tell my listeners, we will put Amanda's contact information so that you can stay connected as a resource. And thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for watching today's episode with Amanda, who's a practitioner and an educator in the helping profession of mortuary science. It is a unique profession, a special calling, a special person. And I know that I'm not alone in assuming that some funeral homes take advantage of individuals' weaknesses and vulnerability during that time. And what I'm hoping that when you see Amanda and you see that there are individuals behind this profession that are authentic, who really want to treat the process with dignity and respect, that will inspire you that not everyone is like that stereotype that you might have heard. I also want to normalize that even she admits that yes, crying is natural and healthy and you need to move through it, right? This is someone who is teaching these practitioners how to be fully present with these expertise, but also that you may have moments and that is okay. And how do you process that through your self-care and managing your vicarious trauma? It's also important for someone like her who has gone to school for this to say, yeah, vicarious trauma and taking care of myself was not the focus of my program. And in fact, I had to learn that as I went along, right? We know that you will sustain, prevent burnout, and thrive the more that we take care of ourselves with our protective factors. So I am inspired with today's conversation. I do get emotional whenever I meet with individuals like this who I knew at a younger place in their life and makes me feel old, but that are really doing something that they are loving and that they're giving back in such a unique and special way. So, in honor of Amanda and other professionals that are in this profession, I thank you for giving all of us that sign of hope. Thank you. It is a gift. Bye bye.